Dade deputy shot and killed in the line of duty. And tonight we're learning more about the fallen member of law enforcement.
What happened to our deputy is not okay. He gave the ultimate sacrifice.
Well, this is a photo of the fallen deputy, Devin Aramillo. He was only 27 years old.
And here is video of the police procession that happened 1 hour ago. Law enforcement escorting his body to the medical examiner's office. And just before the procession, this site earlier this evening, a line of law enforcement vehicles showing the support from colleagues near HCA Florida Kendall Hospital.
And officers and deputies were seen outside of that hospital praying for their colleague. And flags and ladders were raised earlier tonight to honor the deputy, Devin Aramillo.
Our team coverage begins right now with Local 10's Brett Neese.
He is live at the medical examiner's office where the deputy's body just arrived tonight. Brett.
Calvin and Nicole, what a somber scene. What an incredible moment, an incredible show of support here outside the medical examiner's office. Over 200, maybe 300 officers lining this roadway. Up and down here, you see some of the flashing blue and red here behind me as the procession has wrapped up, and a number of these officers are going back to work. That's the hardest part about all of this. That is the ambulance, though, you are looking at behind the medical examiner's office of where Deputy Aramillo's body was brought here. There is a huge group of sheriff's deputies behind the medical examiner's office building right now. I'm looking at them as they huddle, gather together, and sadly share in this moment of grief. But this happened very quickly. They were able to put this together very quickly. They shut down a number of roads. It took about 30 to 35 minutes to come from HCA Kendall to this spot here. You can see the massive American flag that the deputy's body passed underneath just a few moments ago and came here to the medical examiner's office. And this procession ended in such a moment, such a powerful moment, a somber moment at that, with a number of people here showing their support and departments from all across South Florida showing their support as well. And I believe I see the mayor of Miami-Dade County right now hugging a sheriff's deputy right there. That is Daniela Levine Cava hugging that sheriff's deputy. I saw that sheriff's deputy in particular hugging a number of his co-workers here once he arrived. And the hugs, the handshakes, they are plentiful. They are ones that nobody wants to give, but you have to give in a moment like this, as this fallen deputy's body is brought here to the medical examiner's office, and this procession has ended just within the last few minutes. But Nicole and Calvin, what a somber moment, what a powerful moment, and what a powerful show of support.
And Brett, all evening we've been talking about how the silence was so strong. Just the way the officers would line the streets and not say a word, but you could feel it. Absolutely, Nicole. I mean, to see 200 or so uniformed officers lining this roadway, a roadway that just a couple of hours ago was open to the public and was used as a normal roadway would be. But that moment and having that many people stand in unison and in silence, the only sound that you would hear was the radios that were on their hips of the different calls that were still continuing to be made. And that moment of grief was so palpable. You could feel it in the air, the tension and the sadness. At the end of the day, Nicole, it is extremely sad. That's really the only word I can think of is sad. Brett, thank you so much. And tonight we're learning more about the fallen deputy.
And we're also getting more details about what led up to the deadly encounter. And Local 10 Samir FC continues our live team coverage now from Southwest Miami-Dade. Samir?
Yeah, and Calvin and Nicole, I want to go ahead and show you ground zero for tonight in terms of this incident. This is along Southwest 128th Street near the intersection of Southwest 122nd Avenue. You can still see the investigation very much underway. If we pan on over and zoom on in to that corner where you can see a concentration of trucks, crime scene unit detectives out here on scene. This is where the officer-involved shooting took place earlier today. You can see still very much several deputies remaining out here combing through evidence. Let's go ahead and show you video from the scene earlier today around 4 o'clock when we first arrived. You can see a swarm, just a sea of sheriff's deputy units on scene here just moments after that call came across about an officer that was shot in the line of duty, Devin Jaramillo. You can see just many of them standing strong out here. Of course, this is a very intense moment, as we've been reporting all night and all day, especially Glenna Milberg giving some more insight from her sources. We know the deputy was responding to an unrelated call out here whenever two people showed up and apparently at some point targeted, ambushed the 27-year-old deputy while he was working out here. At some point, shots were fired. The 27-year-old was rushed to an area hospital. And of course, at that point, that is when many of these deputies arrived to the scene. In terms of the suspects, again, believed to be two. We know one took their life out here following the officer-involved shooting. And the second suspect said to have turned himself in, that according to sources telling our Glenna Milberg. But out here, one thing you could really grasp is just the seriousness, the nature of this incident from the number of deputies out here. Not only that, but you also had highway patrol out here combing through and closing off this area as crews were rushing that deputy. I know on our way here, when we were on the turnpike, one of the intersections was blocked off by a number of units, and then just seconds later, one of those ambulances rushing by, presumably carrying the deputy or transporting him to HCA Kendall, where he was receiving medical attention and sadly was pronounced dead. While we were out here, another thing we were able to capture that we talked a lot about was this moment whenever a deputy, along with several others, walked away from the crime scene back out here live. You could see just the visible emotion from that deputy. She was crying, obviously, a very intense, emotionally taxing day. Incident for many within this department. As she walked away, another deputy actually holding on to her, embracing each other as they made their way around. And of course, this scene has been blocked off for hours. Another interesting aspect, I'm going to circle back around to a point I made earlier. We knew one of the suspects said to have died on scene. The other said to have turned themselves in. In the meantime, before we knew any of that information, we noticed multiple deputies actually donning tactical gear, so the helmet, the vest, as well as the long rifle. Typically, we see that when we go to barricade situations, along with the armored green trucks that typically arrive whenever there's a barricaded suspect or shots are being fired. At one point, the deputies were able to take all of that off, and that's when sources confirmed to Local 10 that the second suspect had possibly turned himself in. But out here, again, this is going to be a very long investigation. As you can see, still very much hours. It started at 4, and they are still going strong, collecting evidence and going through every little finite detail. Let's go ahead and play you a portion of the interview from the sheriff.
I want to start out by saying that today is not okay. What happened today in Miami-Dade County and to our deputy was not okay. And today will never be okay. I ask our community to pray for the family of our fallen deputy, to pray for all of us, because we're family and we are hurting. I ask this community to pray for our community. Pray so that we can find a way that things like this never happen again. Our deputy, Devin Jaramillo, responded to a traffic crash. And when he responded there, he was brutally attacked and he was murdered. Samaritans called 911 and deputies responded to provide first aid. And they worked him until he was transported here to this hospital. And he succumbed to his injuries. He's not only a deputy, he's a son, he is a brother, and he is a friend. I want to thank all of our fellow law enforcement agencies that have stepped up today to help us, to support us, to send words of encouragement. The next few days are going to be very difficult for us, and we will still continue to make this county safe. But I remind you all, as my final word here, what happened to our deputy is not okay. He gave the ultimate sacrifice, his life, defending us, defending you. And we need to understand as a society and as a community that that is just unacceptable. We will not accept that ever. I am grateful for the words of support, and I thank everybody again who has in their own way reached out to show their support and love. And I'm grateful to the men and women who provide the safety to our community every single day. Thank you very much.
All right, and that was the sheriff of the Miami-Dade Sheriff's Office there that you just heard from. You can hear her voice trembling there, very stoic while delivering a stern message following this deputy-involved shooting. A couple phrases from there: brutally attacked and murdered. It's not okay. He defended you. So making it personal on that note to the community. This is someone who comes from a law enforcement family who dedicated their life, of course, going to school and then going to work for another department, I believe, starting with the Miami-Dade Sheriff's Office back in 2024. Again, just 27 years old. I'll send it back to you in studio.
Okay, Samir, thanks a lot. Let's go to Local 10's Aaron Maben right now. He continues our team coverage on this breaking news story. Aaron.
Well, guys, it was before 4:30 this evening that Officer Jaramillo was rushed here to Kendall HCA, and it was an urgent situation. They rushed him. He went straight to the ER, and unfortunately, this is where that officer took his final breaths. But before the sheriff delivered that heartbreaking news, it was where officers really rushed and they waited to see how he was doing. Let's show that video, because it was a moment of emotion and unity out here as so many people in law enforcement wanted, prayed for Devin Jaramillo to make it through this very difficult time. Again, you're looking at that daylight video from not too long ago when people rushed here, and you can see the dozens of deputies, men and women in uniform, who arrived here to check on their brother after the shooting, many of them in prayer and really leaning on their faith as a grave situation unfolded. Now to this video of that procession beginning. You can see so many deputies from across this county lining up, and eventually there were so many squad cars and it became a sea of red and blue flashing lights right outside of the hospital. You can also see members of the Miami-Dade Fire Department attaching an American flag to ladders. This flag raising is also known as the Arch of Honor. I want to take you now to this heartbreaking video that we're looking at of the casket leaving the hospital and then loading into the ambulance. As we mentioned all night long, this is what no one wanted to do, but they had to do it for their fallen brother who was shot in the line of duty and eventually died here at the hospital. Again, I'm loading him from this trauma center, from the hospital into that casket, and then into an ambulance, and then driving him away. And when they drove his body away, you could see on the faces of the motormen their emotion, but also this is a very serious job. This is a serious moment, and they understood the magnitude of this moment. But there were a number of officers, hundreds of officers, who had lined the streets. Those same officers who rushed to the emergency room. After they left the emergency room, they lined the street and they watched as that young officer's body left here and went straight to the medical examiner's office too. It was a very heartbreaking night, a lot of pageantry for an officer who died in the line of duty. We're live here at HCA Kendall. Aaron Maben, Local 10 News.
Good afternoon to you. We are breaking into our regular scheduled programming for some breaking news. The Miami-Dade Sheriff's Office set to update us on the slain deputy killed in the line of duty yesterday. We want to show you a live look right now at the press conference being hosted by MDSO as they are set to get underway. We just received that 2-minute warning from our reporter Brett Neese, who is there right now. You can see that background of MDSO. On Saturday, just to recap you, if you weren't with us yesterday evening, detectives are investigating the murder of Miami-Dade Sheriff's Office Deputy Devin Jaramillo. It happened Friday in the Kendall District. Miami-Dade Sheriff Rosie Cordero Stutz announcing Jaramillo, at 27 years old, was brutally attacked after responding to a traffic crash in the 1200 block of Southwest 128th Street. We want to send things out to our Walter Murphy, who is out there following this live. Walter, can you describe to us what the mood is like outside of the medical examiner's office as we await this press conference?
Well, Michaela, we've been out here all morning, like you know, and we have not seen anything until about 30 minutes ago. I'm going to take a step out of the way so you can see down, all the way down. There are dozens of officers here now, presumably to take their fallen brother to their final resting place. Again, we have seen them. They are in their full uniforms as well. I don't know if there are any that you can see at the moment that my photographer Zeke could possibly zoom into. About 10 minutes ago, we did see a group of them. It looked like they went inside. Again, we're unsure exactly what they are doing here, but they have come here. They are dressed in their full uniforms, the full regalia. I saw some dress blues. And again, they all have their lights on. We have seen about a dozen, again, dozens of cop cars, but we did see about a dozen go inside a moment ago. Again, we'll stay out here and try to figure out exactly what they're doing, and we will bring you any updates as they become available to us. But for now, I'm going to toss it back to you in the studio, Michaela.
There has been heartbreak for that hero, Devin Jaramillo, 27 years old. If we could bring up that live picture of where Walter is, of the overwhelming support, show of support outside of the medical examiner's office, showing all of those patrol vehicles out there. This is eerily similar to the scene that we saw. You know, Glenna Milberg talked about this yesterday.
Testing 1, 2, 3.
We want to take you straight to this presser. The sheriff getting ready to speak here in just moments. Let's listen in.
Is it afternoon? I don't
Yes, totally.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for being here today. It's important to me that today we clarify some rumors that have been spreading regarding how the incident occurred yesterday. It was not an ambush. Our deputy was not ambushed. I'm also here to give you a better, clearer picture as to what actually occurred. Our deputy Jaramillo was dispatched to a traffic crash, a minor traffic crash. He responded as any deputy in this county would, and he handled himself in a professional and tactically sound manner. During his preliminary investigation of the crash, he encountered the subject who was part of the traffic crash case, and there was a verbal dispute that ensued. During that verbal dispute escalated to a physical altercation. He fought with our deputy. And during that fight, he disarmed our deputy of his own service weapon and used it to shoot him multiple times. The subject, after shooting our deputy, entered his own vehicle and took his own life. Our deputy, good citizens who did see what happened, called 911. He was not able to. and we responded, deputies responded and provided first aid. He was transported to the hospital where all life-saving measures were taken. And I'm grateful and thankful to the hospital staff who tried their best to save him, but they were unable to. I want to tell you that behind this uniform, we're human beings. And I want to share a little bit with you about Devin Jaramillo. He was a son and he was a brother, but he's also a homegrown hero. He was born in Baptist Hospital, graduated from Killian High School, and graduated magna cum laude from University of Central Florida. He was an athlete, a football player, and he was smart, strong, handsome, and young. And he could have done anything with his professional career, but he chose public service, and he chose to do it in this community to serve us. And he gave the ultimate price in his service. As I said yesterday, this will never be okay. And I ask our community to continue to hold us in your prayers because we need them. Thank you. I'll do it in Spanish. Buenas tardes y gracias por venir hoy.
As the sheriff continues this press conference in Spanish, we just want to reiterate what she just shared with our reporters. We do plan to go back to the sheriff as soon as she begins taking questions. But the sheriff clarifying rumors saying Deputy Jaramillo was not ambushed, contrary to the language used Friday. The sheriff saying the suspect was part of the crash investigation, saying that during the fight between Sheriff Jaramillo and the suspect, that suspect took the deputy's gun and shot the fallen deputy with it. The sheriff saying that the suspect got back into his own car and took his own life, and it was the Good Samaritans nearby who called 911. This 27-year-old deputy, fallen deputy, an athlete, a football player, a son, and the sheriff making that statement that she repeated yesterday. This is not okay. Hearts are heavy this afternoon in the Miami-Dade Sheriff's Office as many are thinking about their fallen brother in blue. We've seen that outpouring support. Our own Glenna Milberg speaking about Deputy Jaramillo yesterday and sharing that when stuff like this happens, it is not taken lightly in the department. And we saw that yesterday throughout Kendall as roads were shut down, interstates were shut down, as we saw that escort of his body to the medical examiner's office. And this is a statement that you're looking at right now from Governor Ron DeSantis, taking to X just a couple of minutes ago to express his condolences, saying, First Lady Casey DeSantis and I are heartbroken over the tragic killing of Deputy Jaramillo in Miami-Dade County. Please know that those responsible for his murder will be held accountable to the fullest extent of the law. May his family, friends, and fellow deputies find peace during this very difficult time. And we told you this yesterday, but these deputies who showed that support still have to show up to work even hours after this horrible tragedy. These were those scenes yesterday, those arches of honor set up as they carried his body from that scene of that crime all the way to the medical examiner's office where he was met by Miami-Dade Mayor. We've got those questions and answers happening right now with the sheriff.
The connection between Deputy Jaramillo and this subject, did they know each other?
So, and that is part of the reason why I'm here, is that there's these rumors that there was some either retribution or connection. Absolutely not. This call was a random assigned call, a very minor police response call, a traffic accident with minor damage. So it could have been anyone. There's no reason, and we have no intelligence that there was any connection.
And we hear of a second subject that's in custody as well. Can you talk about that connection, who that person is?
I don't have the details on the second individual because remember, this is still very much an investigation. And I'm also grateful for that question because I'm going to explain that it is so important for us that this be done exactly as it needs to be done. We need to hold everybody accountable that needs to be held accountable.
Well, was that person a bystander or passenger in that car? Any information on that second?
The second subject was involved in the entire scene. He was involved. It wasn't just a random person. He was involved. That much we know at this time.
Part of the accident?
Yes, part of the accident.
Do we know whether the person who shot was a career criminal, or do we know anything about that?
We don't have any information as of yet. We're going to try to be releasing that information as soon as we can, sooner than later.
That second subject, he was charged or not charged? I'm sorry. I don't know if
At this time, I do not believe there are any charges as of this time.
Have there been any search warrants sought or executed?
At this time, I don't have any more further information I can share on the investigation.
Sheriff, can you talk about, you called this a minor traffic accident. Deputy Jaramillo arrives by himself. Is that standard procedure in a traffic call? Can you talk about what those standard procedures look like for this particular type of call?
So a minor crash is something that would normally be handled by one individual, not even just a deputy. We even have public service aides that respond to these type of calls. So I think it's important because people need to understand that for us, there's evil lurking over our shoulder wherever we are and whatever we're doing.
Were any other firearms recovered at the scene, or was it strictly?
That's all part of the current investigation, so nothing I can share.
Any questions in Spanish?
One
last question?
Yeah, just one. Do we know when Deputy Jaramillo will be moved from the medical examiner to the funeral home, and then what that process will look like over the next few days?
So we are currently, as we speak right now, working on the details for the transport.
Okay.
Our goal is that it will be sometime today, and as we get more locked in timeframes, we'll make sure to share that appropriately.
Thank you.
Want to tell us at all just what he was like during his time at the sheriff's office? Yeah, we heard from Coral Gables Police, that's where he started.
Yeah. So Devin was an amazing officer, hardworking. He's what we call a legacy kid because his father was on the job for so many years. He was strong. He was a helper. He was a supporter. Nothing but the best of words were ever used when it came to describing who he was, his peers. I will tell you that his immediate peers at the Kendall station they're destroyed. They're destroyed. He was what every parent would want their kid to grow into.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Sheriff.
You are listening to the Miami-Dade Sheriff right now in a press conference updating us on the investigation into the slain deputy Devin Jaramillo. The sheriff answering several questions from reporters. That first one was, did Jaramillo and that suspect know each other? The sheriff's saying absolutely not. There was no intelligence that there is any connection between the two. There is now a second suspect in custody, though. But the sheriff saying there are no details there, but so far the second subject was involved. The sheriff reiterating everyone will be held accountable, saying it was a minor traffic accident that turned deadly, in a powerful statement from the sheriff saying there is evil lurking over the shoulder of deputies no matter what the call is. This one, a minor traffic accident turning deadly. Be sure to follow Local 10 News throughout the rest of the day for more updates on this developing story. For now, we are sending it back to our regularly scheduled program.